Chapter 11 The Stragglers. Wild geese are known for migrating in the autumn and the spring, but exactly when a flock migrates is up to its members. Some flocks choose to fly early in the season, others straggle far behind, and it was one of those straggling flocks that caught the attention of our robot. Honk, honk, honk. These geese were heard before they were seen. Their honking voices echoed across the farm, and the flock appeared above the fields, flying in a wobbly V formation. They glided over the pasture and plunked down into the pond. None of them were very concerned as Roz approached. These geese had seen similar creatures on other farms, and they knew there was nothing to fear. But they were about to learn that our robot was very different from the others. "Hello, geese," said Roz. "Welcome to Hilltop Farm." The geese froze. They stared at Roz with suspicious eyes, and then the biggest goose slowly swam over. "I've come across plenty of monsters like you," he said, "but I've never met one who could talk." "I am not a monster. I am a robot. My name is Roz." The goose scratched his head. "Well, it's nice to meet you, Roz the robot," he said at last. "My name is Wingtip, and this is my flock." Roz gave a friendly wave, and soon the flock was gathering around, curious to meet this odd character. As you can imagine, the geese were shocked to learn that Roz had a goose for a son. They asked her all kinds of questions about Brightbill, and about her old life on the island, and about her new life on the farm. Then Roz asked them a question of her own. "Do you think Brightbill's flock would ever come this way on their migration?" "Doubtful," said Wingtip. "It sounds like his flock takes the eastern flyways. They'd never come this far west." The robot slumped with disappointment. "However, we geese are full of surprises," added Wingtip. "I'll promise you this, Roz. If we ever meet Brightbill, we'll point him in your direction." The talk was interrupted by giggling and barking. The children were taking their dog for a walk. Roz couldn't be seen chatting with geese, so she whispered a quick goodbye to her new friends and went back to work. And when she looked down at the pond later that day, she saw that the flock was gone. Here's the illustration. Chapter 12 The Homesick Robot. We all feel homesick at one time or another. Even the robot felt something like homesickness. Roz belonged with her son and her friends on her island. She was determined to find her way back there. But how? If the robot was seen doing anything unusual, Mr. Sharif might have her destroyed. Roz had to be careful. So she calmly went about her farm work day in and day out. But all the while, the homesick robot was secretly planning her escape. In chapter 13 is The Electronic Signal. Beep, 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 beep. A message was flashing on Roz's computer. The drone was reporting that gusty winds had sent it spiraling into the neighbor's bean field. So the robot grabbed the big heavy toolbox and marched out to clean up the mess. Roz found the flying machine upside down, with its landing gear poking above the rows of leafy plants. It had some scrapes and scratches, but no major damage. She flipped it over, brushed it off, and tightened a few screws. Then she said, "Return to Hilltop Farm." The engine started buzzing, and the machine lifted off the ground and flew home. As Roz marched back, she cut through a strip of forest that separated the two farms. There were trees and ferns and rocks and shrubs and small forest animals. It was a little piece of wilderness. And suddenly, the robot was thinking of that wild island she missed so much. Someday she would try to run away and return to her true home. Was this the moment for her escape? Could it be as easy as sneaking off through these trees? No, it couldn't be that easy. Ahead, on the other side of the trees, Mr. Sharif was sitting in his pickup truck, watching Roz. Because of the robot's electronic signal, he knew she had stepped off the property, and he had raced out there to see what she was up to. Roz marched over to the truck, and Mr. Sharif leaned out his window. He had a serious expression on his face. "Don't you ever leave the property without my permission. Understand?" "I understand," said Roz. She understood all right. She understood that she was always being watched. She understood that she was trapped on Hilltop Farm. Here's Mr. Sharif in his pickup truck. Chapter 14 The Sad Truth. That night, while everyone was sleeping, Roz stayed up with her computer and researched sneaky subjects. She looked for diagrams of her own body and for maps of the area and for any news that might help her escape. But the robot found nothing. The computer only let her access information about farming. She was cut off from the outside world. It was clear that if Roz wanted to escape from her new life, she would need help. But the cows didn't know how to escape, and Mr. Sharif would never let his robot leave. Who would possibly help Roz run away from the farm? And chapter 15 will be titled The Children.